in the chat. I'll continue to share it throughout, but remember that that offers you an opportunity to win that awesome skateboard as well. And I think that's it for housekeeping items for now. I'll be monitoring the chat as we go along, and there will be some opportunities to engage with Evans through the session as well. And just a reminder also, and I think I have to do something on my end really quickly. We do have the closed captioning available. So I believe you should be able to see on the bottom of your screen, enable closed captioning. There's a button towards the right, and that will allow you to see the captioning if you're interested in seeing that as we go along. But without further ado, I would love to introduce to you folks a dear friend, Evans Yellow Old Woman from Siksika First Nation in Alberta. I'm going to let Evans introduce himself, but I just wanted to thank you, Evans, for being here. And we're so excited to hear from you. And thank you so much for presenting on wellness and resiliency today. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it to you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. Am I on mute? Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, yeah.
What's the ask question of 2020? Am I on mute? Idamik skinotini, everyone. Nistuano kapsipisto nidumstu siksikawa. Good morning, everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Evans Yellow Old Woman. My Blackfoot name is Apsipisto, which means white owl. And that was gifted to me by my great-grandmother who hailed from the Blood tribe in southern Alberta. Yellow Old Woman is my last name. And with the name as interesting as Yellow Old Woman, I often get the question, what does your last name mean? And growing up, I heard that question a whole lot because Yellow Old Woman, like I said, is pretty interesting. And I didn't know the story behind my last name for the longest time. And so I would tell people, oh, it was an ancestor of mine who had jaundice. Not who Yellow Old Woman actually was. Yellow Old Woman was actually a woman from the Blackfoot tribe. And she received her Blackfoot name, ᓰភិ្ခိᓯᐤ, because she was gifted the right to use yellow paint in ceremony. Traditionally, we Blackfoot use red ochre in our ceremony, and she was given that right to use yellow paint. And so they named her ᓰភិ្ခိᓯᐤ. And when the settlers had come over and started giving their English names, ᓰភិ្ခိᓯᐤ, which was her name, Yellow Old Woman, was then changed to her last name. So all of her descendants since have been Yellow Old Woman. Evans was the name of a guy my mom had a crush on in high school, so not as cool of a story. So as mentioned earlier, my name is Evans Yellow Old Woman. I come from Siksika Nation, which is in southern Alberta. It's the second largest reserve here in Canada. I grew up on the reserve, but I did leave quite early. I left when I was 16 years old. Kind of lived all over Banff, Edmonton, in the States, all over the States. And then finally moved back here to Calgary a couple of years ago. And was fortunate enough to work with some amazing organizations over the last couple of months. Over the last year, during the pandemic, taking some time off and taking well-needed time off for myself. And yeah, that's just a little bit about myself. My tablet just went off here, so I'm gonna click it on. This is my first time presenting like this, so I'm usually I love speaking to folks and I love interacting. But this is the first time that I'm doing something like this, so forgive me if I'm a little uncouth. Well, I try and navigate all of this. But to begin, what I wanted to ask all of you who are listening is, what is resilience to you? Maybe we can hear a couple of answers from some folks who are listening, but I wanted to hear from you folks. What is resilience? Jamie, I don't know how you wanted to do this, get answers from, or if you just wanted to from the chat.
Yeah, feel free, folks, if you're interested in sharing on the chat.
Your fighter, to not back down, will not give up, bouncing back, the ability to bounce back. I never heard of that word, that's good. This is so cool, actually. Cool. So what we're going to do now is I want to show this video about I want to show a video on what resilience actually is. And it's about a 2-minute video. So just stay tuned. Jamie, my wonderful tech person, I don't know how play the video.
For sure. I'm going to apologize in advance if there are any tech issues, but please don't be shy and let me know. I'm hoping that I can play and you can hear it, but yes, please feel free to keep us in the loop if we have any issues. And thank you folks for continuing to fill your answers in the chat.
Brains. They are everywhere. In the world's gentlest places and its harshest. In this unforgiving environment, some brains exhibit troubling signs. Addiction, illness, depression, social disorder. Yet others thrive. Why have some brains developed the ability to cope in harsh conditions while others struggle? It is one of nature's great secrets.
Hi. Hello? This is amazing. But I just need to clarify a few things. This great secret? It's actually science. Severe adversity isn't good for any brain. But it is true that some brains do better than others in the face of significant challenges.
Oh, a scientist. Yes, I agree. This is a great secret of science.
Great, yes, but not a secret. Let me explain. We're born with brains, but our brains change as we grow. They develop based on experiences we have, and different brains respond to experiences in different ways. Okay, thanks. I'll let you get back to it.
Indeed. Some brains show robustity and strongitude, while others...
Sorry, we scientists use the word resilience. Some brains are more resilient than others.
Yes, resiliensis.
Resilience?
Resilience. Revenge of the cortex.
Resilience is a result of the interplay between genes and life experiences. It's a brain's ability to maintain good functioning under adversity.
Resilience makes us invincible.
Nothing makes us invincible. What resilience does is to give less leverage to negative factors in our lives and tip the balance in favor of positive outcomes.
Resilience. Fate's legendary prize.
Whoa, no! Some people are born with more resilience than others, but resilience can also be built over time. It's a big project involving parents, caregivers, teachers,
Kith, kin, karaoke comrades,
soccer coaches, counselors,
pastry chefs, associate producers, even millennials. Like a barn raising in times of old.
Yeah. In fact, we scientists believe strong brain architecture is the foundation for resilience. And, oh, look over there.
Oh, yes. A young brain returns after months of isolation and adversity. No words can describe what this poor brain has suffered.
There are words that describe it. We scientists call it toxic stress.
Toxic stress lies in wait.
No. Stress happens inside the body. It's the fight or flight system kicking in. But if stress hormones are elevated too high and for too long, it can have negative effects on the brain and body.
Stress, a nasty poison.
Not all stress, just toxic stress. With the right supports, we can make severe stress tolerable, which means it won't do lasting damage. Stress can even be positive because it helps us to learn problem solving and coping skills, which leads us back to resilience.
Alas, this brain is resilience-less.
No, it isn't. Let me explain. Remember when I talked about giving less leverage to negative experiences and tipping the scale in a positive direction? Well, here's a little something I've been working on. It's a really amazing metaphor. Here goes. I call it the resilience scale.
resilience scales, protective armor plates that
Shiny! But no. The resilience scale helps us understand why some brains are more resilient than others.
the resilience scale sends out invisible resilience rays
It's really just a scale. See? It's a beam being held up by a fulcrum.
full of crumbs.
Geez, no! A fulcrum. You know, like high school Never mind. Let me just clean this up. See, negative experiences add weight to one end of the beam, and positive factors add weight to the other end. Ideally, we want the scale to tip toward the positive side and lead towards positive life outcomes.
The brain's future literally hangs in the balance.
The position of the fulcrum can be understood as our original capacity for resilience. It's something like our genetic starting position. Remember the young brain that was struggling to survive? Look, it started life with the fulcrum off-center, giving more leverage to negative experiences. Serious stuff, like abuse, neglect, and chaotic environments. That means positive factors like responsive relationships, safe environments, and learning opportunities had less leverage. Over time, the negative load shifted the fulcrum even farther in a negative direction.
Tragedy.
Not at all. Right now, this brain is experiencing poor health. But with help, the scale can be tipped toward more positive outcomes. The first thing we can do is to stop negative experiences from stacking up. Then, we can add more positive factors, loading up the positive side of the scale. And we're not done. We can work to shift the fulcrum in a way that favors positive outcomes.
The fulcrum, an amazing instant fix-it button.
No, it's a process. It involves many supportive people and plenty of time. Remember? This brain is still young, so adult brains can work with it to relieve toxic stress and teach coping skills. In early childhood, these efforts can push the fulcrum a considerable distance.
Childhood, filled with fascination and fulcrum flexibility.
Sort of, but there are other sensitive developmental periods that are windows of opportunity, like adolescence. And even if this brain doesn't get help until adulthood, change is still possible. It will take more support, and the change will be less dramatic. But any fulcrum can be moved to make positive outcomes more achievable.
The bad experiences disappear.
I'm afraid not. It's hard to undo the effects of past negative experiences, and it takes time. But we can eventually relieve the burden of those negative experiences. Our little brain can get the help it needs to adapt, recover, and enjoy good health and wellness.
And everyone, everywhere can become more resilient for eternity.
Why not? With the right support, everyone everywhere can become more resilient.
I'm so glad I saved humanity. It's been a majestic experience.
Yeah, me too. Well done.
So, with everything that is happening and lots of changes happening around us right now, it's important to keep in mind the ways that we take care of ourselves. These times may be tough, but so are we. Us Indigenous people, we are quite literally the epitome of resilience. Our people have overcome some of the greatest obstacles anyone can face. We are still here after displacement. We are still here after attempted genocide. We are still here. And we will get through this the same way we face all other challenges us Indigenous people have faced together. Now, I want to share some ways that all of you can support your wellness through this pandemic. Now, I want to quickly ask some of you, what does wellness mean to you? Good health, healthy. Any other ideas of what wellness means to you? It's like healing in a way, totally, happiness and health. good mental health, well-being, healthy mind and body, positive things in life. These are all great answers. Taking care of yourself, positive surroundings and a balance, safe environment, staying positive. These are all great answers. Now, I know personally, during this pandemic, it's been a struggle because I'm such a social person and I love interacting with my community and being with friends, and it's really, really hard not to do that during this pandemic. And so that disconnection from community has really been felt over the last couple of months. Now, I want to share some tips on how you yourself can stay balanced and healthy and feed that wellness that we're talking about. And throughout my talk, I want to encourage you folks to share in your chat ways that you are keeping well and what wellness means to you, because you may have an idea that another person hasn't thought about. And so sharing all of those ideas with each other is super important throughout all of this. So in stressful times, it's important to stay in some form of routine. Now, I know routine can seem a little bit daunting at times, and nobody wants to have like a routine or a schedule. It'd just be cool if you can kick back all the time. But during this pandemic, I think it's really important that we have some sort of routine to help us get through the day. So what you can do to remedy that is try writing out your daily routine and even create a weekly one for yourself to help build on that structure. But don't overwhelm yourself. Sometimes what happens is we try to do so many things and we overwhelm ourselves. Don't do that, because that's not very productive. By keeping a schedule and keeping yourself on a routine, it's just to keep yourself like I said, to feed that wellness. But don't overwhelm yourself, especially in a pandemic, by overworking yourself or doing too much, because we also have to remember that resting is good, especially during this pandemic. Now, this is going to sound like I'm being a parental and telling you what to do, but I'm not. I just want to share some things with you to help you during this pandemic to just ride this thing out. So, number one, it's going to sound, like I said, like I'm being a parent, but sleep is so important. Getting your sleep is so important. It is so vital to your overall mental and physical health. So make sure you are getting enough sleep. Now, I know staying up all night with your friends, playing COD or Fortnite is super, super tempting, but having a consistent sleeping schedule can be helpful for your mental health. If possible, just an idea, just try this out. Try being in bed at the same time every night if you can, and up at the same time every morning. That little routine definitely does help. Do you have a way to wind down to help yourself get ready to sleep? So coming up with ideas about how, a routine, just things that you do to help yourself get ready for sleep, right? I know for myself, I don't go on my phone right before bed because there's a blue light in there that stimulates your brain and tells yourself to be awake. And so it's really hard to like go to sleep when you have this light on and your brain is telling you we should be going, right? So coming up with a bedtime routine is super important. Are there ways to make your bedroom more relaxing, right? Getting some cool LED lights. I know I saw some $2 LED lights that were all sparkly that I bought for my daughter that you can get. Just something to make your room more relaxing. For instance, try going to sleep. When you try to go to sleep in a messy room, I know for myself, I get super anxious. My room, how it looks is usually a reflection of how I feel. And so when my room is clean and my room is organized, I'm actually more restful. I go into my bedroom and I can actually relax, right? So having a clean room actually does help and actually helps with that anxiousness. In the morning, do you have a morning routine to start the day on a positive note? So ideas that you can do in the morning, Try yoga. You don't know what yoga is? YouTube. You can find everything on YouTube nowadays. Try out yoga. See if that's for you. Or a mindfulness exercise, relaxing with a cup of your favorite drink before getting ready. And one thing that I like to do, and that I find is super, super helpful, is writing your thoughts and your intentions for the day in a journal to help clear your mind and to motivate you. And it helps make that commitment to yourself, right? And so writing your intentions for the day in a journal, number one, I would say, please get a journal. Writing stuff out actually really, really helps. So don't keep all that stuff bottled in. Try not to keep your worries and fears bottled up. You know, sometimes we're told that it's a dog-eat-dog world and that it's every person for themselves and that only you can get you to the end. But we come from a community based mentality. We come from community. We have community. Our communities may be hurting right now, but you're not alone. Tap into the community that you have and tap into those resources that you have in your communities if they're available. Talk about these fears and these worries with people that you trust, or reach out to local mental health helplines. Like I said, we're taught that we're alone. We're not alone. And we're taught that it's shameful to ask for help. I know for myself, pride gets in the way a lot of the times, thinking that I got this and that I don't need to ask for help. But asking for help is totally okay. That says nothing about you. Asking for help is okay. The Mental Health Commission of Canada created a great list of crisis lines and other mental health supports that you can access. So if you're in a remote area and you're in an area where there's not a lot of mental health supports, oh, I can't hear anything he's saying.
I can hear you, Evans. I think you're okay. I can help problem solve.
If you live in a remote area, I know that sometimes those services are really hard to access. I know for myself, I'm very fortunate to be in the city and have access to those resources readily available to me. But some folks who are living up north, all over Alberta, and in rural areas, on reserve, off reserve, on settlements, you know, a lot of times we don't have those resources. But Jamie's going to share in the chat section some resources that you can tap into if you're in those rural areas. And there's some that are provincial wide, just something you can have so you can talk to somebody, because talking to somebody is so important during all of this. It's important to remember that we must reach out. Social and physical distancing is so important in order to lessen the spread of COVID-19. We know that, right? We've been hearing about the pandemic over the last little while and learning about ways that we can keep ourselves safe. Now, you may feel fine, but you could still be carrying the virus and spread it to others. So following those recommendations and protocols for your area will help end all of this very, very soon. So these times that we're in right now can feel very, very lonely, but it doesn't mean that you're alone. Try making a list of safe people that you can reach out to. You know, that helps. Having that list of people that you can reach out to in a time when you're feeling those worries and those fears. It can also help to schedule in some social time with your friends to keep you from becoming too isolated. I know over the pandemic, I've had to do this myself and make those commitments with my friends to meet on Zoom or to meet on Facebook Live, right? Just to have that interaction with other people. That social component during this pandemic is super important, and keeping those social connections and not isolating, because isolation can turn into depression, can turn into all of these things that we don't want, right? So it's important that we're just working extra hard now to be in community in senses like this, right? So scheduling those times with your friends is super, super important. Once you've validated your tough feelings, try challenging them with a new spin. So everything that you're going through is legit. Everything that you feel is real, right? Everything that hurts. Those are real to you, right? And validate that. That's super important. Your emotions are real, and they're yours, and they exist, and they're there. Validate that. But challenge yourself, like I said, challenge them in a new spin. Like taking a break from being social in person might help you find creative ways to stay in contact with others. You might even find you're reaching out to friends you don't often speak to, which is cool, right? This with what's going on in the pandemic, I found also that I'm interacting with folks that I haven't heard from in a long, long time. We also have to understand that others around us and our friends and our family and all of the people in our lives are also struggling with this pandemic too, right? And they're also struggling and stressed out with the current situation. So try your best yourself to be patient and supportive to those folks. Just like you would want that patience and that supportiveness for yourself, remember to relay that to others as well during this time. And remember to show yourself so much love during this time. That is so important, is that love piece. You can get through these times, and we will get through these times together, even when we're physically apart. Now, I know growing up, I lived with some negative Nancys, you know, sometimes being around people who are a little bit negative and can be challenging, right? Especially if you're living with some folks who can be negative. So if you're living with someone who's being a little bit negative and on the moody side and making it difficult to be around, try some positive self-talk and self-soothing to avoid reacting harshly. And we have to be careful in how we react. So remember to calm yourself and self-soothe yourself. Remember to also practice healthy boundaries, to give yourself breaks from those negativity. Everywhere right now, like I said, can feel like 24/7 information about COVID-19. Everywhere you turn on the TV, there's something about COVID-19. You log on to Facebook, you log on to oh, I almost forgot TikTok, the app, the name of TikTok. So you log on to all of this and it's always in your face, right? So we're constantly hearing about it. Give yourself a few days away from it if you want. I think that's super, super important, because when you're inundated with that information, that can induce anxiety, and feeding yourself all of that information, too much information, it can be super, super unhealthy and throw you off balance with your wellness. So on days that you are wanting to stay informed with what's going on in the world, try set limits to how much you're accessing, right? So if you're gonna go on Facebook or you're gonna go, try limit yourself like maybe 30 minutes, a 30-minute timer when you're accessing however you access your news or however you access what's going on in the world. Try to limit yourself to maybe a maximum of 2 30-minute sessions. So be careful with what information you're inundating yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself with COVID-19 information, because that can be overwhelming and not good for your wellness. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed by everything going on, try to stop what you're doing and focus on your breathing. That's something that I've been doing a lot these last few months, is being in tune with my breathing. Breathing is so important. When I was working through my own mental health journey, what I didn't realize for myself was I hold my breath. So in situations where I'm anxious or I'm getting too much information, I'll literally hold my breath and I don't realize that I'm doing it, right? I'm holding my breath and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I forgot to breathe, right? Because my brain is just working so fast. Remember, the most important thing to do is to breathe, channel that breathing. And there's a lot of exercises that you can do that we'll share. Jamie will share in the chat some ideas around wellness and some ideas of mindfulness and things that you can do, breathing techniques, all of that stuff is all readily available for you, because I know that anxiousness, I have a 10-year-old right now, and sometimes she can get super anxious about what's going on in the world. And so we literally sit there and just ground ourselves and do our breathing techniques, right? So it's important to do that type of stuff. Where was I? Focus on your breathing. You can also download apps, free apps. There's one called, I think it's called Aware, that you can download. And they'll give you free guided breathing exercises. So it'll teach you basically how to breathe, right? And like I said, breathing is so important. So if you want to learn all that type of stuff and how breathing can help reduce, proper breathing can help reduce anxiety and all of that stuff, download Aware. It's a cool little app and they give you little breathing exercises. Taking this time away from worrying and negative feelings will help you slow down and recenter, right? So when I said you're online and you're being inundated with all that information, taking a break and slowing down from all that can help you recenter. Now remember, is your space zen? Your spot, your room, make it look cool, make it stand out for you. Set out a time to clear an area in your home where your mind can be more at ease. Do you have twinkle lights? Do you have candles, pillows, a rug to sit on? Some of these things can make a place very cozy for you to relax your mind. Boredom can happen when you're at home all the time, right? So if a lot of people are home all the time right now, and it can be very, very boring. So make a list of activities you can engage in, and even give time limits so that you can help yourself be committed to that activity. So for an example, schedule an hour of coloring, or a 15-minute mindfulness activity that I was talking about, or a 20-minute walk, whatever feels good to you. Are there books in your home that you've been wanting to get around to read? Gather those books or magazines and, oh, I just lost my spot. Give me 2 seconds. See, this is the joy of talking on the fly. Books, yes, books. If you have books, read those books, those magazines. Let's see. Try to set a time. This is the most important part. This isn't being lazy. This has literally helped myself. So set aside time to do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yes, we all get lots of things. Yes, we all have lots of things to get done, but we can carve out time for ourselves to do absolutely nothing and allow ourselves to be okay with that. If it helps, rather than seeing it as doing nothing, think of it as time to recharge. You know, when your phone is like almost dead and you're like running for the charger and you're like trying to dive in and like put your charger in so it doesn't die, you need that for yourself. You need some time to recharge for yourself. So make sure that you're doing that for yourself, giving yourself time to recharge. Now, if you're tired of staying in your house, maybe it's time to venture outside. Find a new area to explore nearby where you can keep yourself a safe distance from other people, but also keeping yourself safe, right? So remember to always keep yourself safe. What else do I have here? So those breathing techniques, like I said, breathing deeply while you walk and take in as much as you can of these new surroundings really, really helps. Maybe making a list of old shows or movies you once enjoyed, see which ones you can find to rewatch, and if you still like them, reflect on what it is you like about each one and see if there's different reasons now. It can be fun to revisit the past through TV and film. Make or find a playlist with some of your favorite songs that inspire you to move, to dance. I don't know if some of you watch Grey's Anatomy, but as Meredith Grey would say, dance it out. Make a group chat with friends to send funny memes or uplifting quotes throughout the day. There are lots of fun group chats ideas. You can compile a list of each other's recommendations for movies, books, TV shows, workouts. So sharing ideas amongst your friends. What are you doing during this time? Let me try that out. What are you cooking? Even cooking together. That's one thing that I love to do too, is FaceTiming while I'm cooking with other friends and having a little dinner party that way, staying connected that way. Self-care is super important in times that you're feeling disconnected and out of sorts because it helps you relax on doing something kind for yourself. Do a do-it-yourself face mask. There can be one for anyone. And there are a ton of different recipes to try online. If you're wondering what the future will hold and it's feeling overwhelming, take a moment to do those mindfulness exercises. Sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves and our minds and our bodies is bringing ourselves back to that present moment. Like I said, Jamie will share a link in the chat with some of those mindfulness ideas that you can try. Now, it's a great time to sit down and think about the to-do list you've been avoiding. So getting things out of your mind and onto paper can be satisfying on its own. So start by focusing on smaller tasks. If it helps, even giving yourself a check mark for getting out of bed. I know sometimes, well, all I have the energy to do that day is get out of bed, right? Check mark, you did that. Like I said, making that activity list, but don't overwhelm yourself. And if it's safe to do so, if you're able to keep at least 6 feet away from others, getting even 10 minutes of fresh air every day can make a big impact on your health, mentally and physically. Getting outside. I know for myself, I walk around the neighborhood, right? Just to get myself out of the house, feeling like I'm isolated. So taking a walk, getting that fresh air is so important. Set an alarm or a reminder on your phone to make sure you're not missing out on your daily dose of fresh air. Remember, get that fresh air. Now, it can be hard to see good when things are so tough. You know, things are super, super tough right now, and it can seem really hard to look at the good in all of this. But trying to identify even small things that we're grateful for each day can have a surprising impact on our mood and our outlook. Now, it can be hard, like I said, to see the good, but we need to try. It'll impact our mood and our outlook, and things like, hey, did you see the sun today? Did you find a funny meme? Did you hear a new song that you liked? Write it out. That journal piece is so important. I encourage all of you, go out and get some journals. If you don't have a journal, paper does okay. Loose leaf paper, you know, work with what you got. Grab some boxes and bags and start spring cleaning. Like I said, cleaning your space, helps yourself relax, right? And it's good for your mental and physical health because you're getting in that workout. And it can benefit others if you're able to donate. Say you have some stuff, donate it to other people, give, right? Receive. Cooking your food from scratch is a way of a satisfying activity. Finding new recipes in a recipe book, lying around on Pinterest. I'm addicted to Pinterest. I've been cooking everything from Pinterest and TikToks. I think there's this saying now, TikTok made me do it. And it's like, I'm trying out all of those recipes, right? Because they look so good. TikTok made me buy an air fryer. I'll tell you that. Now, you might be doing okay during this pandemic and it might not be affecting you as much during this time of social distancing. But we also must remember too, are our friends doing okay. Take some time, if you have the mental and emotional capacity to do so, remember, take some time to check in with your friends if you have that mental or emotional capacity to do so. Because I know there's some days where I can't talk to anybody. That's okay. I just don't have the mental and emotional capacity for that day to really talk to anybody. That's okay. But remember, sometimes you just need to check in on your friend just like they check in on you, right? And remembering that. Take some time out of your day to check in with the people you care about, to reassure them that they are not alone. Now, for the most part, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I just wanted to encourage you folks, you know, like I said at the beginning, we're resilient. Our people have gone through so much, and we're still here, and we're going to continue to be here. All of you folks that are listening right now, you're so important to us, and you're our future, and super proud of each and every one of you. I may not know all of you personally, I may not have met you, but I'll tell you something. We are resilient people, resilient, strong, beautiful, intelligent people. And that is where you come from. You come from a long line of warriors. Tap into that strength. Tap into those ancestors. It's there and it's readily available for us. And be good to yourselves. Be very good to yourselves. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. All I have to share.
Thank you so much, Evans, for your wealth of knowledge and for your words and your encouragement. It's always a treat to connect with you and listen to you. And we see in the chat, folks are saying thank you. And it's been so awesome to see folks sharing their strategies and ideas for wellness and taking care of themselves and each other. So just thank you so much for your time. I do have a few housekeeping items to share before we wrap up our session, and the thank yous keep pouring in, Evans. Just a reminder that you can sign in if you haven't already through the Google form. I'm just going to wait a moment before I paste that back in because I don't want that to get lost. Unfortunately, we can only offer one entry to the prize for each session. So just make sure you're only signing into the session once. And thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. I'm going to share my screen for another second here, just because we have opportunity during our lunch break to engage in some wellness. So we will be coming back for more sessions this afternoon, and we're excited for those sessions. We're now going to break from 12 to 1 o'clock, but we do invite you from 12:30 to 1 to take a wellness break. A wellness break can look like so many different things, whatever feels good for you, whether you're at home or whether you're with your class. You can get outside, go for a run, go for a walk with your family or friends, siblings, whoever you're with, go skating. There's some a photo scavenger hunt idea that I'll show in a moment here. You can get outside and take some pictures. You can read, draw, write, listen to music. You can take some time to check out those resources that Evans shared and do some mindfulness activities. You could make a TikTok dance if you wanted to. Call your gookum, which is always a great thing to do. So we just invite you to take some time during lunch to tend to your wellness. And there are a few wellness break inspirations here that I'll leave on the screen. There's a photo scavenger hunt with some things that you could look for. There's some writing prompts if you're interested, and then some drawing prompts as well. So I'm going to leave this screen open for now, but in the meantime, thank you so much for attending. A warm thanks again to Evans for sharing with us today. I'll stick around for a few minutes while we wind down, and I'm happy to share those links. And maybe if you wanted to say a quick word to Evans, you could stick around as well. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you back this afternoon for the last half of Still I Rise. Take care and stay well.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I'm just going to stop the recording now.